Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Dr. Larry Waldman with me here today. Professor, speaker, author, coach, yoga instructor, trainer. Dr. Larry Waldman is a recently retired, semi-retired clinical forensic psychologist. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
There's a lot of stuff you had going on, but still have going on. So that's all great. Do you want to give us a background on how you got into the space, maybe?
Okay, sure. Well, I started out in private practice in Phoenix in the late 70s. Did traditional therapy with kids, parents, families, and so on. Around the 90s, I broke out, if you will, and got into other areas that psychologists typically don't work in, and continue to kind of use the old adage, if you will, think out of the box. Like, how can I use my talents and skills in ways that continue to help people, but at the same time are more remunerative?
Okay. Now, was that on like the different subspecialties of psychology, or are you talking more entrepreneurial?
No, in psychology at first.
Okay.
Just as an example, for instance, in fact, I was watching the Anna Nicole Smith case that was back in the 90s.
Sure.
That young woman married this,
For our listeners who may not be familiar, she was like a Playboy playmate, bombshell who married a dying millionaire or something in Texas.
More than that, an oil tycoon. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And when he passed, there was a big lawsuit about who gets the money. He had two sons. They thought they were getting it all. It turned out that she had a good attorney, and I don't know how it ended, but it ended, and they settled. The point of the story was and what the sons were alleging, is that he was under duress. Number one, that she had pressured him, to add her to the will, and two, that he was already suffering with dementia. And so it occurred to me, wow, this is interesting. I think there's a role I could play here. So I wrote a letter to all the state planning attorneys in Maricopa County, and there were about 40 of them. And I basically said, in light of this, Anna Nicole Smith, I'm announcing this new service where if you have a client that is about to make a controversial change in his or her will, have him undergo a comprehensive psychological evaluation conducted by me to assess whether there is duress, or any kind of dementia.
Okay.
And let's do this while they're alive, sure, not after they're dead.
Sure.
And about a half a dozen of them, went for it, and so that led to other kinds of things, and it certainly paid, frankly, much better than what insurance companies were paying at the time.
Okay, so that was your first foray out of the insurance pay model and into forensic psychology?
Not the first, no. The first was family law, where I connected with judges and because I'd been working with kids and families at that point for 25 years or more.
Okay, sure.
So it was an easy shift, and I indicated to them that yes, I could do these what they referred to as family studies, where you do a comprehensive evaluation of the entire family and so on, and make and write a very extensive report and essentially recommend to the court what you believe is in the best interest of the children. And I did probably 75 of those in my time.
Okay. Interesting. And then can you talk a little bit about the other subspecialties of psychology that you worked in before we move on to other stuff?
Well, again, so yes, some of that forensic area. I did also some things with. I mean, in other areas, I don't think we have to go on it. But the point is
okay.
that, I looked into alternative arenas that, to my knowledge, most mental health providers did not even look into. I even dabbled a little bit, as my older son's an attorney, with some jury selection issues, things of that nature.
Sure.
The point being is that I used my skills, in non-traditional ways.
Right.
And that's in fact what I teach in my workshop to other mental health providers, which I
part of your skill set is the thinking outside the box, not just from a clinical side, but as you said earlier, the business of mental health, right? The different aspects that you're not trained in.
Exactly, right. You have the skills, and how can you apply them differently, perhaps? And again, in a more perhaps remunerative way. And that's what I did.
Okay. Now, what are some of the bigger challenges that you see people still struggling with that you help them with in the business of mental health?
Well, most of them, frankly, have no business skills at all. Excuse me. Remember, most mental health providers are liberal arts graduates, so in the majority of cases, they've never taken a business course. And I've coached lots of mental health providers who are struggling because they know how to do psychotherapy, but they know nothing about running the business of doing psychotherapy. Things like managing employees, managing consultants, like paying bills, and how about collecting, appropriately, and things like that. There's a lot more to it than just sitting across from the client, which that they're familiar with, but everything else, and in fact,
it's a common issue I've seen in all sorts of different industries. But my wife is a physician. That's something I noticed in medical school and in residency. They talk about the cases and the medical details and stuff. When they get into practice, they start talking about billing and all the next stage of things that they have to figure out.
Yes. Well, in fact, I've spoken to because I collaborated with psychiatrists, and there were two in my building, in my office, as a matter of fact. I've spoken to psychiatrists about marketing and practice management, because the same problems are happening with them that are happening with psychologists and counselors and therapists and so forth. I can't tell you how many times they're saying, I hear, well, I'm so busy seeing patients that I'm too busy to bill. Well, okay. If you like working,
see how that works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So are there any other big misconceptions that people who are newer to the industry struggle with that you help them as a coach?
Well, as in terms of marketing, I mean, many times people say, well, gee, I got my PhD, I opened up this office, I got my shingle on the wall, and they expect the phone to ring. Well, You might get a call from your mom, but that's not going to bring you clients. So one of the other things that I talk about are, again, what is marketing? And well, an example, one of the recent talks I did a couple of months back, I started talking about this, and some guy raises his hand in the back, and he said, I didn't get my PhD to be a salesman. And and I said to him, I understand where you're coming from, but there's a word to describe people like you. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, poor. Yeah. So, again, if you're going to run your own ship, if you will, then you have to, like any business, you need customers. Okay?
Right.
You're not selling widgets, you're selling your time, you're selling yourself.
Right.
So you have to get out there, and I found a lot of creative ways to do that.
Okay.
Just like creative ways of practice, creative ways to market, for instance.
Okay.
Okay.
And you've written a number of books. Are your books about helping in different aspects of this as well?
One of my books is, yes. That book is entitled The Graduate Course You Never Had.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, it's designed for typically early career therapists, but many times even senior therapists who have a struggling practice.
Right.
The truth of the matter is, what insurance today pays for therapy is shameful, to be honest, and it's tough to make a good living doing it. Yet it's very important.
For sure. Yeah, reimbursements are cut in all sorts of aspects that most of us deem are critical.
Right. Yeah. Mental health has always been the stepchild of the healthcare industry, and here's another example of it.
Right. Okay. Larry, can you talk a little bit about some of your other books you've written?
Sure. First book is entitled "Who's Raising Whom." It's a primer for parents on how to manage their young child's behavior, from 0 to about 12 or so. The second book or follow-up to that was Coping with Your Adolescent. So, there's different parenting strategies, of course, with teenagers, kids. My third was How Come I Love Him But Can't Live With Him? That's, of course, the marriage manual.
Yeah.
The fourth one, I believe, was Too Busy Earning a Living to Make Your Fortune. In that, I talk about being open to the possibilities, trying to think outside the box, like I've been talking about. Take a look at things. How can you apply them differently and maybe in a better way, and so on. Then the Graduate Course You Never Had. A colleague and I did a book called Overcoming Your Negotiophobia. We coined that word, but basically looking at life in terms of, if you don't ask, you don't get, kind of thing. The book I did during COVID, which has become fairly successful, is entitled Love Your Child More Than You Hate Your Ex. And that's based on the 15, 20 years of court work that I did, that I referred to. And the book that just came out about 9 months ago now is entitled Silver Sex, Insights into Senior Sexuality.
Right. Okay, interesting. And the timeline, those were in order. When were those initial, the two parenting books up front, were those?
In the 80s.
In the 80s? Okay, how has that changed now compared to then?
It's funny you say that. My principles are still very valid. But yeah, it's changed. Back then, in the mid '80s, when I was in practice and seeing parents all the time, I had to caution them about over paddling their children. I mean, some parents would bring in these wooden mallets. I mean, oh my God, and so on. And today it's now reversed. Okay.
Right.
It's on one hand, it's a good thing. Parents to a large degree are no longer hitting children with implements, so often. But on the other hand, they're not at all addressing inappropriate behavior.
Right.
That kids are exhibiting behavior that needs a consequence, not a SWAT, and so on, but something like loss of a privilege, or maybe a timeout, or something of that nature.
Right.
And that's not happening anymore.
Or even defending the behavior to external forces like schools or other families or parents or kids.
Right. Or as I call them, therapizing them out of it. So in other words, the child does something, maybe hits their sibling or whatever, and that causes the parent to sit down with the kid and have a nice heart-to-heart talk for 20 minutes. Now let me see that. So he hits, and then he gets your undivided attention for 20 minutes.
Right.
I wonder how that's going to work.
Right. Yep.
But that's what's going on. Parenting is a huge responsibility. It's one of the most important things that adults are going to do in their life.
Right. And they often
raising a human being is a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And most people don't read your book or have a manual. Right.
Exactly. And so we do it. Most people do it by the seat of their pants.
Right. Reactively.
Exactly. Absolutely. It's simply reactive. And what happened yesterday has no relation to what's happening today. Yesterday, you had more sleep and you let things go. Today, you didn't get much, you didn't get a good night's sleep, and now you're overreacting and so on. And the poor kid is like, well, I don't know what the rules are, or what
right. There's no consistency.
Yes, it changes from day to day. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think that would be pretty interesting. I don't remember who it was. It was somebody famous. They asked, "What's new or what's different now in the home and families compared to when you were younger?" And they said that children ruled the roost. They said that was the biggest thing.
Yeah. A lot of them have been given too much power too early. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no question. I love my kids and my grandkids, and whenever I visit them, I always have a good time, but I come home with a very sore mouth. That's from biting my tongue so much.
Okay.
Because I don't say anything, but I see it, and my wife will look at it, and she knows too. She taught fourth grade for 29 years,
Okay.
and she'll look at me, and I'll look at her like, okay, it's not our. If they ask, but you're never an expert in your homeland, So I'm just Papa. That's all.
Okay. You're the loving role model.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about how you've pivoted. I wasn't interested in yoga until it was out of necessity when I started to get stiff and hurt. How did you get into yoga?
I was in my 50s, about 20 some years back now, almost 30 now, gosh. And I was very active. I've been in the gym since I was a teen.
Nice.
That's always been very important to me. But I was in this gym, and there was a yoga instructor there, and she would also work out, and so we would talk and so forth. And she would say to me, "Look, Larry, you got the strength thing down, you've got the aerobic thing down, but what about the flexibility and balance? Those are two other important components of total fitness, especially for seniors. And like most, senior adults, I went, oh, I don't want to be a pretzel, and stuff like that, and different things. But finally, I said, okay, let me take a class. And she put me off by the side and she gave me special attention. And again, as a psychologist, I saw the little bit of meditation, the breathing, the introspection, and the movements. And I realized, oh, there is something here. And I took off with it and started taking lots of classes. Started teaching back on my own at my condo in Southern California, where we like to spend the summer.
Okay.
And I got certified a couple of years ago now. And so it's what I love to do. I do it various places at my condo, at a community center, and things like that. And I do it largely for seniors, although I could certainly do it for anyone. Trying to get them to understand that this is important stuff.
Right.
And the way I teach it is to emphasize activities of daily living.
Yes.
Like being able to bend down, okay, sit down, get up, get off the floor, and so on.
Right.
Prevent falling, and things of that nature.
Sure. I've learned a few things that I didn't appreciate just 5 years ago. Was, for example, one thing they say more often than not, most people when they fall and break a hip, they break a hip and then they fall. Right? It's a testament to how important it is to maintain, right, that strength in the movement. It's not that you took a fall and now you're immobile because you had a bad fall. It was the lack of, your skeletal system is anti-fragile, right? Kind of like your immune system. If you don't use it, you lose it. It dissolves and stuff. So you have to get down and move. And I think, besides just stretching, I think rolling around would probably be a good senior tumbling or something. I think would probably actually be really good.
Well, yeah, and that's an important point. For example, one of the important poses that I like to do is what we call legs up the wall. You're basically on your back and your legs are up, and so on. But and that's a good move in and of itself, because now if blood that maybe hasn't been recirculated is now getting recirculated. So that's the important thing. But the other move then is to make those hips now make big circles both ways. And the reason that is so important is because 99% of the time, even though our hip joints are ball and socket joints, which allows them to move in circles,
right,
we just move them either forward and sometimes back.
Yeah.
Okay?
So they lose their stabilization ability.
Exactly. So we're not using a large portion of that joint. Well, the old adage, use it or lose it. And so that's where the arthritis likes to live and so forth. And before long, you've got problems with your hip. And by making these huge movements each way, independently, just like I do with my fingers, and so on, it really makes a large difference.
Right. For stretching the tissue, but also circulation, fluid exchange, everything. I'm always reminded of that when maybe it's winter activities, right? When you get on the ice or skating or something, now there's snow, skiing, all those muscles you weren't using remind you that they're there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And we don't too often, and I've heard it so many times. Seniors take this approach. Well, I just turned 60 or 70 or 80, as the case may be, and therefore, why bother? No.
Depends on the quality of life you want. Do you want?
Exactly. Right. I'll be 79 next month.
Excellent. Excellent.
And frankly, I can do anything now that I could when I was half my age. My
Excellent.
wife and I travel a lot. We go to far-flung places. We recently were in Uzbekistan and India and so
Oh,
on.
wow.
And we've got other trips planned, and
Heck yeah.
that's because we can walk and climb and so on. But
Excellent.
that wasn't by luck.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked.
I just saw Japan cross the 100,000 mark. They have over 100,000 centenarians. Over 100,000 people in Japan are over 100 years old.
Well, they're doing something right. There's no question about it, and it's because, of course, it's a couple of things. Obviously, their diet,
Yep.
and they exercise. They walk a lot, and so on. That's part of their being
Right.
as well. Um, so,
The social aspect
and
is
I'm just
apparently
going to
very
get
important.
yeah, and of course they're social. So they're doing the right things. No question about it. As
Right.
opposed to isolating yourself in front of the TV eating
Right.
bonbons. Okay,
Right.
there you go. Okay, take your pick.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So-
Okay. Can we talk a little bit before we wrap things up here about sort of the different speaking engagements you do?
Well, thank you. I speak to mental health professionals. Again, on the practice management seminar, I entitle it, non-traditional methods of marketing and practice.
Oh, okay.
I also do a workshop for mental health providers. It's entitled Teaching Parents to Raise Responsible, Resilient Kids. To the community, I speak to parents on my books, basically. I speak to large parenting groups, who's raising whom, coping with your adolescent. I also do marriage seminars on how come I love them and can't live with them. I'm in fact, I've been invited to speak on my second last book, how come love your child more than you hate your ex, on children going through divorce and what we can do to mitigate the stress that they're undoubtedly under,
Right.
things of that nature. So yeah, I speak to the community as well to mental health professionals.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Now here's a question I like to ask some people. What have you done in the last 12 months that's changed your life?
Well, I'm pretty much a creature of habit. I've been doing a lot of these things a long time. Let's see. Well, I guess probably the biggest change that has occurred is that we moved from one summer home to another to a over 55 facility.
Okay.
And that has been great. I'm so impressed with all the amenities that are there and all the things that I can do. I mean, when I'm there, I'm in a Scrabble club. I'm in a PC club. I'm in a book publishers club. I'm in a speakers club. And of course, I do yoga there twice a week. So that's probably been the biggest change.
Okay. Back to having strong social interactions that we just talked about.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent.
Very much so.
Okay. Nice. All right. Well, I guess given your success and you've been in Phoenix in the Scottsdale area quite a while, you've had quite a big impact in the area and amongst all, I imagine hundreds of families and children and people. Do you have quite a big network of contacts and people you stay in touch with at some capacity?
I don't stay in touch with clients or patients. No, we don't do that. But your initial point is one that, frankly, I am proud of. And I, I'm at the stage now when you're kind of thinking about your, so on. I mean, I feel I've got a long road ahead of me,
Sure. But like legacy thoughts?
exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm proud of my family. My two sons are, well married, and they're well established, and they're good. They're good parents. They're good fathers. They're good husbands,
Awesome.
and I'm proud of that. Yeah, based on my practice of over 45 years, yes, I saw thousands of people. Based on the speaking I did, there's another,
Sure.
and so forth, and and the books. So yeah, I'd like to think that
Yeah,
I
bigger and bigger spheres of influence and impact. That's awesome.
and that yeah, that I did help a lot of people, and that makes me feel good.
Heck yeah. All right. So, Larry, as we're wrapping up the interview, I was wondering if you had any plans or initiatives for 2026.
Uh, we've got four trips planned.
Nice.
So on. I don't think I'll be writing any more books and so forth. I've got a couple of speaking engagements.
Okay.
I'm going to head up a book fair in Tucson. An author, it's book and author thing in March,
Okay.
and that's going to be on my latest book, The Silver Sex.
Okay.
Seniors, believe it or not, are still having sex. Not as often, perhaps, but it's still happening.
Yeah. Well, some of the medical reports I've seen over the years suggest that they're having a lot of sex.
Well,
Not always safely.
yeah. Well, there's a story behind that, but we have to get in.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, Larry, if people would like to connect with you or learn more about you and your books and your speaking engagements and your coaching, what can they do? Where should they go?
My website, which I welcome you to look at, has all my books in it and connections to for it if you wish to purchase them. And I have probably 36 articles in there I've written over the years, and so on. It's topphoenixpsychologist.com. If you
Okay.
wish to email me, I'm open to that as well. And my email address is LFW, that's my initials, LFW at LarryWaldmanPhD.com.
All right. All right. Thank you for all that. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Dr. Larry Waldman, for joining me today. Very much appreciate you sharing your story and your insights into all those very interesting aspects of business and mental health and senior living and parenting and all of it. Just might have to have you back to talk about some more of that. Thank you.
I would look forward to that. Thank you.
Great.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.